Well, I don't know that we have an advantage on him. He's a pocket passer. He's not going to run unless he has to. He does a few bootlegs if you let him have them, but he's not going to run. He's going to throw, and so that's not much different. That's not a real advantage. You see that on films. You know, you don't have to know a guy to know what he's going to do, and I don't know what effect it'll have on Craig playing us. I'm sure he wants to beat us awful badly. Craig is the main guy, you know, as a quarterback, and he's been here 3 times, so he isn't too short on experience.
The ability to get them to play as a team and not as an individual or as units.
And now, of course, it's the Dallas Cowboys. What are some of your overall observations about them?
Well, they're a great team. They have good personnel. They have good coaching. They play with enthusiasm. But, you know, we've had such a terrifically tough schedule. It has been a very difficult schedule for us, and we played Pittsburgh, Oakland in the playoffs. We beat them both, and I'm not in awe of any team.
The Cowboys' flex defense will yield a few yards on the ground. This season they've bent for 118 yards a Sunday, but when it's 3rd down and 3, look out. Opponents have converted on 3rd down only 69 times all year, less than 5 times a game.
I think the key to attacking the Cowboys that everybody tries to do is be successful on 1st and 2nd down and keep them out of that 3rd down situation where they're so good. We've looked at a lot of films and what they do on 3rd down, and people just aren't successful against them.
Craig Morton must throw if the Broncos are to beat Dallas, and the Cowboys can devastate a passing game. On the right side, Harvey Martin leads the league in quarterback sacks with 23. Coming from the other end is Too Tall Jones. All 6'9" and 265 pounds, Too Tall Jones. Martin should practice by throwing over or around the First National Bank building. If you do get one away, look who's waiting downfield. Cliff Harris, a veteran of 4 Super Bowls. Harris has 5 interceptions this year, and if he doesn't take it away from you, he'll make you cough it up. And if that's not enough, then there's Charlie Waters. He can make you wish you'd let the ball drop incomplete. All told, Dallas allows opponents to connect only 41% of the time. And if Craig Morton can't hit more often than that, Denver is in trouble. From New Orleans, I'm Brent Musburger. Up front, Barney Chaffetz, Reuben Carter, and All-Pro Lyle Alzado have helped make the Broncos number 1 against the rush. They've given up only 109 yards a game. 4 members of the defensive secondary are headed for the Pro Bowl.
It's a defense that's based on coordination and movement and protecting to the outsides and protecting deep. And we play deep zone drops with our linebackers. We try to get a rush out of those 3 guys up front, which is really hard for them, but, you know, somehow they get pressure. They're 3 super athletes and make you throw the short balls, make you try to run for it. 4 or 5 yards a crack, maybe try to dump pass 4 or 5 yards a crack, and then wait for you to make a mistake.
And, of course, Randy Gradishar, who performed brilliantly in the playoffs despite playing with an injury. The Orange Crush can squeeze the life out of your running game, but when Denver met Dallas in the final game of the regular season, Craig Morton shot the fruit right off the tree. We'll find out if Denver learned its lesson Sunday evening. From New Orleans, I'm Brent Musburger.
They like to line up in certain positions, and, you know, wherever the X-Man is, they like to, you know, have people in this position or that position, and, you know, we like to give them different looks where they're going to have to be in a different position they're not used to, and when you do that, it can help, and it doesn't confuse you also, and we've done it enough where it shouldn't, and it's going to be very important to us in our game plan, shifting and moving people around. I think that our offense has really come into its own the last 4 weeks, and that's excluding the Cowboy game because we really didn't play that well down there. But we played real well. The offensive line has done a tremendous job, and that's the key to the whole game. If they can keep those guys off me as they did against Oakland and Pittsburgh in the playoff games, I think we got a total of 1 or 2 sacks in 2 games, which is phenomenal. And they did the same thing the last couple of games of the season. If they're able to do that, then we can complete the ball and we can run on them.
Morton does not scramble. He's a classic drop-back passer. More importantly, with that injured hip, he probably cannot run if he gets into trouble. With guys like Harvey Martin and Too Tall Jones closing in, Craig Morton might have a lot of trouble Sunday afternoon. But if the Denver line can protect him, he could bring the Broncos a Super Bowl championship and a Rocky Mountain high that the city of Denver will never forget. From New Orleans, I'm Brent Musburger. The Denver running attack is not explosive, but it is consistent and balanced. 3 men rushed for more than 400 yards, and the Broncos' leading rusher, Otis Armstrong, is also an excellent blocking back. Denver's most exciting runner is Lonnie Perrin, a second-year man from Illinois. He averages just over 4 yards a carry, much of it gained on second effort.
We don't have O.J. Simpson or any of the, by breaking the long runs, but, we get the job done.
Rob Lytle, the former All-American from Michigan, is the third man to gain more than 400 yards this season for the Broncos. If those 3 men have a big day Sunday, along with fullback John Keyworth, the flex defense might just bend to the breaking, sending the Cowboys home to Dallas frustrated again. From New Orleans, I'm Brent Musburger. When you talk about the Dallas running game, everybody knows Tony Dorsett, but Touchdown Tony is only part of the Cowboy ground attack. Dorsett, suffering with that leg bruise, had an off game in the NFC Championship, and that allowed Robert Newhouse to pick up the slack.
Tony's a great athlete, and I know he has a lot of ability, pure ability. I think he's going to even get better. I think with him in the backfield, defense has to respect his ability to get outside. And one of my roles, I run a lot up the middle and, off tackle a lot, and it does loosen up some holes sometimes. So
behind Dorsett and Newhouse, the Cowboys still have Preston Pearson. He's their hard-running free agent. He's not first, and he is not an all-pro, but he always gets the job done. From New Orleans, I'm Brent Musburger. Roger Staubach closed this season with a charge to capture the NFC Passing Championship. Despite playing with a bruised thigh and a damaged thumb, he completed 210 passes and gained about 1.5 miles, just over 2,600 yards. The Cowboys' offensive line gives Staubach all the protection he needs. On one play during the championship game, Staubach roamed around the backfield for more than 10 seconds before releasing the ball. That kind of time lets him find an open receiver more than 58% of the time. One big advantage Staubach has over the injured Craig Morton. Roger can duck and he can run. In fact, he is the Cowboys' 4th leading rusher, and that could just be a difference in Super Bowl XII this Sunday. Craig Morton was virtually booed out of New York last year, but he became the 2nd leading passer in the AFC, turning in a pair of excellent performances in the postseason, and he wound up being voted the Conference Player of the Year. The big question about Morton is his physical condition. He secretly spent 2 days in the hospital with a badly bruised hip before the AFC Championship game, and it was not decided he'd start in that contest until just before kickoff. But if the Denver line can protect him, he could bring the Broncos a Super Bowl championship and a Rocky Mountain high that the city of Denver will never forget. From New Orleans, I'm Brent Musburger.
I'm pulling for Denver all the way. I really I admire the Denver club. They put me in a great deal of mind of the Dolphins the first year we went to the Super Bowl. Hopefully, situation's almost exactly the same, as a matter of fact. They've turned it around in Denver. They're going to the Super Bowl. They're going up against Dallas, and it's in New Orleans. Denver's had a tremendous advantage in all their home games with that crowd. I hope people in Denver are listening and they turn out up there at the Super Bowl and give them a little backing.
Well, it's going to be a tough, exciting game. I think this is going to be an exciting Super Bowl because both of them are basically the same. They're good against the run, but they're not so good against the pass. And if both quarterbacks have time to throw the ball, you're going to see a real wide-open game.
Who do you give the edge to?
I'm going to give it to Dallas because I want them to beat Denver. But then again, Reuben Carter's on Denver team, and I like a guy from this area to win the Super Bowl, so I'm going to root for Reuben.
I think Dallas may have just a little edge. And that edge is that they've been there before. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I don't give them much more of an edge because I think Denver's defense is every bit as good as Dallas's defense. If there's any question, is whether Denver can score as many points against Dallas. And I think they can because I know I played Dallas, and I know that there are some places that you can beat them if you just be consistent and come right at them. And it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a low-scoring game, but it's going to be more of a defensive battle than anything, and it's going to be a good game.
I'm going with the Big D.
Okay, that's an ambiguous statement.
It's Denver, of course.
Of course.
Yes, I really think so. I can't believe the spread is 5 points. I like Denver to win the ball game, period. And certainly I can't see why they're an underdog.
The AFC Championship game made everybody aware of the Broncos' M&M passing combination, Craig Morton to Haven Moses. Morton hit Moses for 2 touchdowns against Oakland. During the regular season, he caught 27 passes. But Moses is not Morton's favorite target. Tight end Riley Odoms is the leading receiver with 37 receptions for the season, an average gain of 12 yards a catch.
We try not to put the pressure on a single individual the whole year, and that puts, you know, that puts a lot of pressure on you, because every week they're expecting from you, and if you don't, you know, if you can't or if you don't, it makes your job that much difficult.
Morton must throw and throw successfully against Dallas if he's going to put points on the board, but he's not going to pick apart the Dallas defense as easily as he did other teams this season. The Cowboys come into the Super Bowl with the best defense in the NFC, and they don't plan to go home second best. Sherman Egan, CBS News, New Orleans.
Tight end Billy Joe Dupree will be playing in his third Super Bowl. This year he hauled in 28 passes for an average of 12 yards a catch. Golden Richards is also a Super Bowl veteran. He's caught 17 passes this year, 3 of them for touchdowns.
Attacking their defense. The linebackers are supposed to be the key to it. Very quick and very active.
They're extremely quick. The 4 of them together are just excellent. They make it very tough to run outside. Running inside is going to be very important to us, and in throwing the football. They're an excellent defensive team, and their linebackers are the key to it.
If the Orange Crush has a weakness, it's pass defense. Denver gives up 160 yards a game in the air, allowing opponents to complete 55% of their passes. And if Roger Staubach can connect 55% of the time Sunday, Denver might as well pack it up and go home. From New Orleans, I'm Brent Musburger.
Cowboys, and there he goes. Dallas has defeated Denver in Super Bowl number 12. Dallas 27. Butch Johnson went in motion, and look out, they dropped the reverse on the first play. Johnson will not get back here to the line of scrimmage. Tom Jackson backs, and here goes Morton. Down goes Morton. Intercepted by Dallas, a pass that should not have been thrown. The Cowboys have it. Right now they need inches for a first down. Dorsett has the touchdown. He never went down. Tony Dorsett. Morton, drafted by the Cowboys, did a stint with the Giants and just got socked. Picked off by Aaron Kyle. And Aaron Kyle dances down to the 40, to the 30. The snap bounces. Herrera did well to get it airborne, and he hit.
That Jurgensen and Unitas and Paul were talking about, Vice Roger. Now watch him throw it. He's out. And Denver loses.
So stepped out of bounds. Finally picked off in the end. We'll rub it out. Herrera. Hey, I'll say that. Rob Lytle and Lonnie Perrin. This is Riley Odom. He lost the football, and Dallas Randy Hughes had 47 yards out. I have it. He does. This one.
The ball is thrown beyond Butch Johnson. A big rush by Denver up the middle. Watch this catch. He only has to have possession over the goal line. He's got it.
A beauty.
He got it. He rolled over the numbers.
That behind Weiss. Touchdown, Denver. Pitch back to Newhouse. Option pass. Deep for Golden Richards. Touchdown, Dallas. Steve Foley wasn't ready. Newhouse to Golden Richards.
Oh, it's really exciting. You know, this is the greatest thing in sports, is the Super Bowl, and for us to spend all this time, we started way back in March getting ready for this, and to win it is really exciting. I'm just thankful for the guys that have to pay the price to do it, and they won it today.
Is the second one any better than the first?
I think it's easier. I think the first one is a relief, you know, that you finally made it and won it, and this is just, I really enjoyed this day, and I've enjoyed the Super Bowl.